Absolute monster. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about a really beautiful vehicle that is actually one of my personal favorites, which is the 2017 Viper ACR. This thing is just a monster on wheels, specifically a track monster on wheels. I personally, this is one of my favorite cars, and not a lot of people know this, but when I was thinking to sell my Murcielago, which is the V12 manual gated 6-speed, I was really considering one of these. Unfortunately, didn't end up getting one, but I'm so thankful that my good friend Corey got this Viper. I mean, it's just amazing to be able to see it, experience this car, because it really is super raw. And I think from the modern in general, like 2010, let's say 2010 plus vehicles, I would say considered modern for me. This is truly a raw driver's car, and it really reminds me a lot, like I always say, this reminds me of the previous generation of GT3s where they only came in manual. I love the fact that this is just a raw V10 manual transmission rear-wheel drive car. Like, you actually need balls to drive this car. That's why I like it, because as me and Corey were talking, the owner, we were saying that this is the type of car that looks like and feels like it wants to kill you all the time, and that's what makes it more rewarding. And honestly, you just have to love the fact that it has 3 pedals and a manual transmission. For me, that's the biggest selling point of the car. And what I love most of all is the fact that it doesn't even come in a automatic transmission, which really makes this car even more special, because when you see this car being driven, you know that the person behind the wheel of this car loves driving, enjoys driving, and loves the older kind of old school. Can't believe we're talking about manual transmissions as old school. It's kind of sad, but anyways, it's just, you know, those t-shirts and stuff that you see, save the manuals. Well, this is basically saving the manuals and preserving it. Thankfully in 2017 we still had, they don't make them anymore, they got discontinued, which makes this car even more special now, because they really are getting rid of this kind of raw feeling of driving. And unfortunately, I understand the rules and regulations in terms of the environment. I just you know, we're going to a hybrid era where we're downsizing all engines and stuff, so this is really refreshing for me to see an 8.4 liter V10. I just love the canards. Any car with canards, I'm like a sucker for. It's just, I think, so appealing. Like, it's really aesthetic. Really love the way they do this. Yes.
8.4 liter.
That's the thing. I love it when people are like, about my AMG, they're like, oh my god, that's a 6.2 liter. I'm like, dude, 8.4 liter. That's, I know boats that have 8 liter engines.
Yeah.
So this has more liters than a boat.
That's huge. And then it actually has the largest tire footprint of any car in the world.
I love the suspension. I love how you can adjust it. Not that I understand shit about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'd be terrified, to be honest.
Like, it comes with like all this extra shit to adjust everything with.
I just love how all this is carbon. This is the biggest single piece of carbon on a production car, right?
It comes with these.
Yeah, I have them in the house. The Black Series comes with it too. Comes with that. It's just, would we dare actually mess with it? No. Exactly. That's the whole point. Like, I don't. Like, I love that we get these features, but yeah, realistically, you and me on a track, we're not gonna stop and be like, all right, you know what? I need more compression ratio.
Well, the good thing is, so like in the manuals and everything, it has like for each track lap record that's set, it has all the settings that they used.
That's cool, but the thing is, that's in Europe or here. They have Laguna Seca.
There's 13 here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, it's 13 U.S. Tracks.
I doubt they have Carolina Motorsports, but
No, well, it did just set the record at CMP, but that was a private. It wasn't Dodge that did it. It was
Really?
Jerry Wood that did it.
wow.
Yeah, so it set the record at CMP. It set the record at VIR. It still holds the record at VIR.
I love. Sometimes I love exposed carbon, but I love painted carbon because
Yeah.
one, it's lighter weight because they don't have to put too much like
Clear
lacquer
coat.
and clear coat on it. But nice. I just wish they left these exposed.
Yeah,
That would have been a cool
you
touch.
You can order them and stuff, and they're not that expensive, believe it or not.
But the thing is, why order them when these are already carbon?
Well,
Like,
the
it's
thing is,
silly.
When you're at the track, you take them out anyways. You just like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But
you
don't
just, like,
take
do
it out. Don't
that
take it out.
and They come right out.
Would they break really because of the chips and stuff? Is that why they're meant to be taken out, or
No,
just
it's
to reduce pressure?
Yeah, reduce pressure. So you take them out. You're actually supposed to pop out all of these too, and it's supposed to help with
Dude, the
downforce.
tire is so sticky
It's
for a
very
road
sticky,
for
yeah.
a road car. Like this is
It's a street legal.
this is insane.
It's a slick with a couple things down the
Yeah,
middle.
it's
just for
ridiculous.
DOT purposes.
But man, look at that. Look at this beautiful engine. Oh my god. By the way, that's a tiny intake for that size of engine. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's something that can be done there.
no, I'm gonna intake for sure.
That's like easy horsepower right there.
The whole thing is very restricted stock. For 8.4 liter V10, only putting out 645
That's true.
horsepower.
That's true.
It's very restricted.
Like my AMG, which is a V8
Yeah.
stock with nothing and no tune and no exhaust, no nothing,
Yeah.
517,
Yeah.
and that's a V8. So for this is
Well, they
restricted.
They kind of have to a lot just because of EPA standards to get.
Of course
to
they
get
did.
everything to be compliant.
Yeah, and
But
now there's the
it's
RPM
very
Act
easy
going
to
on.
get power out of them, man. That's why so many tuners are doing them with twin turbo kits.
Did you see the one I sent you?
Yeah. That heads cam kit that I was looking at, Calvo, 705 to the wheels, about 825 crank, which is, almost 200 horsepower with no forced induction.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. Not a lot of people can get that out of a naturally aspirated engine like that. But
You know what's really cool is to see an American car, an American sports, well, supercar for me. This is not a sports car, this is a race car.
Yeah.
To see it with ceramic brakes, because think about it. How many American cars, other than like the Ford GT and things like that, have carbon ceramic brakes?
there's new ones that are coming out with. It's getting to be more and more common. Like GT500 has them. Well, actually, no.
Not really, bro.
No, it doesn't. I think you have to. It only has the wheels, the carbon fiber wheels.
Yeah, it has the carbon fiber wheels, but
the Z06 had it and the ZR1 had it.
ZR1, it makes sense because it's kind of a rival to this, but not in the same class. But the point.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think any other American cars. I mean, unless you count like the Hennessy, like.
Yeah, I wouldn't count those. I'm talking like normal
the
production
yeah.
cars. Like you can go to a dealer and buy it.
Right,
That's the
right,
type
yeah.
of thing.
No, I don't think
You can't go to
this
Ford
is-
and say, I want a Hennessy Venom,
Right.
1,000 horsepower. You're not gonna do that.
It's pretty much just the 4GT, this, and a couple Corvettes, but
Dude, oh man, I love this thing. This thing is so beautiful. One of my favorite cars, literally. Okay, talk me through the reason you bought this car. Why did you, of all the cars? Because you went for an Aston Martin. I know you love the manual. Close the window so we can hear, we can talk.
this is the last great American badass.
I think so too.
When everyone's going, as you can tell, it's a Dodge. The windows don't work. But
Yeah, I know, they always do this. Okay, even Porsches do this.
yeah,
My
it's
GT3
weird.
used
The
to.
McLaren, it's not as bad as the McLaren, but still.
I don't want to
yeah, it's just like it's a race car, man. Like it's a street legal race car for the road.
Yeah. It does get hot in here, admit it.
It gets very hot.
It gets so hot in this
It's
car.
annoyingly hot in here. And so like when everyone else is trying to
Yes, sir.
kind of dial it back, they got the dual clutch, they got all this technology, you really take the whole driving experience out of the car. And this one, like America pretty much said, fuck you, we're pretty much gonna put 650 horsepower in a hot rod, throw a big ass dinner table in the back of it and kill all your lap times.
That's the reason I love this car is, hey Hummer. That's the reason I love this car is because, like I told you last time, if the way they did this car was done by, let's say, Lamborghini or Porsche or any, let's say, high-end European, Italian manufacturer, I think this car would be worth $500,000 easy. So I think for the money,
it'll still be worth $500,000 at some point. Not right now.
probably. But I mean, initially,
Yeah.
Like if this was a European car, I don't think you'd be able to take it from a dealership for less than $500,000. That's my opinion. Because honestly, I love the fact that, I mean, usually manufacturers, whenever they put a piece of carbon on the car, they charge you ridiculous amounts.
Yeah,
and this thing, I mean, you have the whole hood single piece carbon, you have the rear full carbon. I mean, the level of carbon fiber on this car, yeah, we're exiting private roads now, so we're gonna behave.
Yeah, we're gonna behave.
We're gonna be really behaved and just talk things through. Once we get back to the private roads, he'll rip the e-brake like it's an S2000.
Yeah. Right now we're law-abiding citizens. But
yeah, but I love this choice of car. Of all the cars, I mean, in the past year, the cars that you've picked, ouch. Fuck, ouch.
It's in street height right now. So, and I got that stuff on the splitter too. That slip flow
stuff like that is why I bought the Hummer.
Yeah, the Hummer. That's nothing. Nah, man. Dude, like once you got a Viper, like you can't really go back to anything else because there's really nothing else like it. The car, you kind of get that weird sense like this thing wants to kill me right now.
That's what I love. These are the cars that you love.
But you love it for
That's
that.
exactly why I love it.
There's a weird kind of sadistic appreciation for the thing.
Absolutely, because you know it's
like,
rewarding.
Yeah.
Like when you get it right, you're like, oh my god, I didn't die. It's amazing, and that's the feeling.
When I got, so I'd say I got rid of my other one. When I totaled my other one, you know, I didn't have a Viper for a while. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. It's like when you get used to the thing that wanted to kill you.
Yeah, but that
you miss it.
But you mentioned, I mean, because you had the Viper and you didn't have like the base Viper. You had an awesome Viper, and that thing was, I mean, you loved it. You didn't really have any complaints with that thing.
No, dude, this thing is my baby.
But this thing is honestly another level.
This is a totally different car.
I think looks-wise, with the canards and the big wing and everything they did to it, to make it like that track capable, is so amazing.
Oh yeah, I think I was watching the video that Chris Harris did on the ACR.
Yeah.
And he said park it next to a GT3 RS, then its owner will need manhood counseling.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
and it's
I
true.
agree.
I mean, this thing is on a whole other level as far as like how aggressive it is with all the aero kits and everything.
And the thing is, like, that's a big statement for this car because one, I am an obsessed, insane fan with the GT3 RS. I've owned GT3s and I love those cars, and I have no complaints. And Chris Harris is a nut. Chris Harris is a GT3 nut, so for him to say that about the Viper, that's a statement towards how good this car is.
I know, and so another thing too, like I was between a GT3 RS and this, so like, because I wanted a track car, and I was looking everywhere for like a manual GT3 or even just a GT3 RS, and it really kind of came down to like, what's the better track car? This is a better track car. You will set faster lap times in this car if you know how to drive it.
This is a better track car than I think anything right now for sale.
Yeah.
Like it'll destroy anything on the track.
You can get honestly, like, I mean, it's beaten the LaFerrari, the 918, the P1.
And it's a manual. You got to keep in mind, it's not a double clutch. Like they always complain, they're like, oh, that's the thing about Porsche that I didn't like. So Viper killed that theory that oh, a manual is not as fast as a double clutch, blah 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 blah. This is why we made the GT3. They made the double clutch to make sales. Yeah. Okay? They didn't make the double clutch because it's the faster. Yeah, it is faster by a couple of milliseconds. But when you make the whole car better as a package, those couple of milliseconds lost in the transmission are made up big time. And that's why this car is the fastest there is right now.
Yeah. I like the whole mindset behind it where, you know, like we were saying, everyone's going dual clutch, and even Porsche with like the rear wheel steering and the electric steering too. You lost a lot of feel.
This is still hydraulic steering, right?
Still hydraulic.
Yeah. Wow.
You lost a lot of steering feel with the Porsche.
I didn't even notice that's the Nürburgring. I was like, I know this track. Is it anywhere else or is it just here?
Yeah, it's under here, I believe.
Really? Oh, these are like cool little.
Okay, so there's another mat that came with it to replace the cup holder, but that has the ring on it.
That has the ring. These are like little Easter eggs that I didn't even know existed. Because I've been in this car before, but never really noticed
it was
it.
somewhere else. I forget exactly. I have to find it.
That's cool. I love the seats. They're really sporty but comfortable. They're not like your traditional bucket seats.
Yeah, they're not like unusable. Like
but you can also put the harnesses on them, which is cool if you want to. I mean,
yeah, it's got all the places for them back there. It's just like a little plastic thing.
Does it have any companies that make aftermarket roll bars for this thing?
It's usually custom. You got to go to like a shop or whatever.
But do they do it? They do roll bars?
Yes, they had one in here for the 701 time.
I think it'll look so cool if it had like a brace in the back, like an X here.
The tough part is like it's already tight. I got like that much room with no helmet.
Yeah.
And even with the double bubble roof and everything, like it's already really tight.
Yeah.
So when you put a cage in here, you're like, you're not moving, man.
Yeah, it is tight, but honestly, it's not that bad. I mean,
yeah, and you don't worry about it too much.
It's not that bad. Like
the whole roof is carbon fiber.
I love it because
everything above the wheels is carbon fiber.
That's the thing I love about this car is that it's painted carbon fiber, but it's carbon fiber, which is insane. And I love what you showed me last time about the carbon. Like how this is carbon, but the lower part is not.
Extenders on it.
Yeah, because it will touch. It will definitely touch at some point.
I think they were saying like if you have it at track height, which is like I think 4 inches clearance in the front, 5 in the back or something. So it'd definitely be lower than this is right now.
Plus, don't forget on track when you have the track tire pressure.
Yeah.
You're also much lower, so it's definitely. And when when you have like an off camber turn.
Them like at VIR, we go there all the time, and so that back straight when they're running full course, not grand course, they'll get to like 160 in these things. Yeah. And as soon as they come over the crest and start going to the braking zone, it's like it just starts scraping.
But I love that look. I love that look when you're like behind the car and it starts to throw like dust at you from under the car.
Well, it doesn't throw it behind. It goes.
It just goes up.
It goes.
Yeah. Oof.
Like straight through the air.
Yep.
It's kind of
in the rain. If you do that in the rain, it's gonna go like from underneath.
When I was taking it to get a PPF and like detail and everything like that, it was a little misty out, and there's still like water on the road. It wasn't raining, but it was like still water on the road.
This would be scary in the rain.
It was, but it wasn't bad to where it wasn't like standing water.
No, because with the modern cars like this, they're grippy, and you're like, oh wow, it's gripping in the rain until it snaps.
Yeah.
But once it snaps, you're like, oh shit, like
that's the thing with these tires. Like it's essentially a jet ski with a V10.
It's like the intermediate rain tires on a racetrack. That's what I always compare them to.
Yeah. So
where it's like if it's not full wet, if you're just a little bit damp, a little bit dry, they'll work.
Like you're going to hydroplane.
If it's wet, for sure.
But it was just like damp and like misty. So I was just looking at our rearview mirror, and you can see the mist just going straight up from the diffuser, like in the wing. Just it kind of creates this little vortex back there. Just goes straight up. It's so cool.
No, I love it.
Dude, it handles so differently than my GTS. Like night and day. Like it's actually kind of tough to get this thing loose like I do.
Especially when they're warm, huh?
When they're warm, it's like
bubble gum.
The e-brake, it's just like it doesn't want to.
That's the thing. I would only use the e-brake probably when you first start driving it when they're cold
tires.
Because that's the whole.
After that, it's usually
after that,
back there. After I did that, like that second one.
Yeah, it probably won't do it.
Over there by Christina, and then I tried to do it again.
Nothing. Yeah.
And I was like, well, that
makes sense.
Yeah, they're so sticky. But,
dude, I just love the 3 pedals. But one thing I love about this is, which a lot of people complain about in all Vipers, is the fact that everything is so compact.
I love it.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's such a
dude,
like
heel toe in this thing.
Heel and toe is just a dream. Like that's it.
You just think about it. You're there.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you're
oh my god.
The Aston Martin is a lot tougher than this for heel toe.
Yeah, but you still like I could heel and toe the Aston.
You'll notice like the gas is like a little bit like lower than the brake because they know.
Because they know you're gonna smash it, and then you're gonna.
Right there.
Yeah.
For the Aston, it was all level across all 3. So I was like this, and then like.
And the clutch in the Aston, I'm assuming this is like a more responsive.
This is about twice as like much. Of like.
Like you don't need to use all that.
No, you don't.
You just gotta like dab it.
Remember, it was like it had like this much. It was like it was either like all clutch or no clutch.
It's like in the Aston, it's like okay, it's not working. It's not working. Oh no, it works, and then it doesn't work. You know, it's like just a tiny gap you have.
This much for slippage.
Yeah. I just noticed that it has like also on the Alcantara like a kind of like a checkered flag design.
No, they did a really good job with the interior on this.
No, they did.
For a Dodge, like this is nice.
Yeah, and you gotta love the Serpent.
How far they've come from the original Viper, and even the Gen 4. It was all plastic and everything rattled. And it was just, not.
You gotta love the short shifter.
I love it.
It's just super.
And the thing is, there's no linkage. It goes straight into transmission.
Yeah.
You know exactly where you're at all the time.
Yep.
Corvettes were always bad about that. You never knew like what gear you were in really, because it was just like it had so much play because of that linkage.
And even look at the position like of the gearbox. It's not like dead center.
Everything's driver.
And the console is so driver focused. It's like they don't want to waste time too much with your hand movement. It's just like click, and then you're like you're right there. Yeah. Which is so cool.
Yep.
So beautiful. And the steering wheel is not, you know how like most sports cars are pretty light with their wheel? This one's actually pretty heavy. Does it change with the settings, or it's just always like that?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. As with all ceramic brakes, you need to like warm them up a bit, because you can feel in the beginning they're like
they're still breaking in too. Like I haven't really seated them quite yet, but you know, I can still feel the rear grip like better than, I don't want to say like better than the Aston, bro. Oh yeah.
Like with the rear grip. And this road, for example, no wheel spin. No wheel spin at all. Wow. Tires are super grippy. I'm just trying to avoid the junk. Wow.
That's Christina.
That's so cool. Can I do a burnout?
Quick one.
Okay. Oh my god, it's so good. I love it. I love the hydraulic feel, because they don't make them like this anymore. The steering wheel feeling is just so good.
You can feel every pebble.
Dude, the clutch, you really don't need to push it much.
No.
Like, at all.
It's got a long throw in it, but
It has a really long throw, but for what though?
Yeah,
because it's like 80% of it you don't really use it.
No, you don't. It's a lot of torque.
No, it's beautiful, man. Congrats. Honestly, let's hope this still works.
Yeah, for real.
No, beautiful, beautiful car. By the way, guys, just for your info, it may look high above the ground now, but this is like the highest street setting, just so he doesn't scrape the car. It's much lower than this when you put it on track setting, and like we said, it gets even lower when you put the tire pressure to track mode, so it just really drops the car.
So it's already got brake ducts in the front and right here, so air goes into here, but
like the extra, remember the extra pieces you showed me?
It has extras that you can install for the track, just if you want a little bit more.
And just while we're here, it's actually really spacious in the back, but also really raw. And like it's just awesome. These are the brakes. This is to cool the brakes.
Right there.
Yeah, the Radical has the exact same material of hose.
And here's the other ones.
This is they give you this for extra brake cooling if you want to put them. And left and right.
Yeah, that's just a little bit more cooling.
Are you advised to put these or remove these on a track day? Probably put them.
Yeah, put them on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have them doing on Tuesday.
Because like I always thought maybe they advised to remove the front vents, like the front slits, because of like they worry about damage, but apparently it's just for extra downforce.
Yeah, I just
look at the carbon.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
no, this thing is special.
And if I want to go street racing or something like that, or do a half-mile event, just 4 bolts and take the wing off, and you get about 20 extra.
See, it makes sense, but that's something I never thought of. Apparently, when you really want to go over, what's the speed limit that this wing needs to be taken off? Like when you really want to go, because it's not 200. It's definitely going to be before 200.
What? Dude, I mean, like, a lot of these guys are running the half-mile events, these twin-turbo Calvo cars, and they're doing, like, 230 with the wing.
Yeah, but let's say stock. I mean...
Stock, it won't go above 277.
230 with the wing, you cannot do on stock suspension. I'm pretty sure. Well, you need to adjust it.
No. They do that, but the same... Have you seen the pictures of them? It goes straight to the diffuser, and the diffuser is what's, like, bottoming out.
But it doesn't damage the suspension? Because that's the fear, usually, for the wing.
You bottom out on the diffuser before you bottom out on the suspension.
That's actually smart, but how long is it gonna last when you bottom out? It's gonna scrape the thing off.
Wow, they're only running like 9 seconds, 10 seconds or whatever. Like
Jeez.
that. A lot of these cars, I mean, sometimes maybe 13, 14 if it's like only 2,000 horsepower or whatever. But
Wow.
like, yeah, I mean, these guys are.
I mean, it's relatively modern and easy to drive. Like I remember, for example, in my GT3, the 9972 and things like that, I didn't have a rear camera or things like that. Like here, you have a rear camera. You have things.
It's kind of funny because, like, you know, they did away with like most of the speakers, the carpet in the back,
Yeah.
production. They didn't do away with the camera, and if you've driven a Viper, you know why. You can't see anything out of this car at all. You really need that camera if you.
Especially with the wing. I mean, even in a normal Viper, backing is difficult enough.
Yeah, so in the camera's really not
Yeah.
much weight, so
Yeah, if you think this is hard, see the H1. That's a nightmare to back in the night with the tint.
If you
Jeez,
hit something in the H1,
you don't care.
you're not worried about the H1. You're worried about whatever you hit.
True.
So, like,
True. That's the thing. I'm worried about like a person or someone sitting in their car where I like bang. Like I don't want to hurt someone.
We had the tornado warning.
Oh, dude, I didn't care. I stayed in the field.
You need to give the tornado a warning.
Yeah, I honestly did not care. I stayed in the field eating my Chick-fil-A burger, and it was amazing.
If I would have got this a year and a half, 2 years ago, I could have saved 40 grand.
That's the thing. I was looking at a GTSR, and I promise you, at the like I was looking at it about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, 150. That's expensive.
Yeah.
I was like, that's expensive, and it was like 2,000 miles, and it was I think it was in California or Florida. I don't remember.
The GTSR.
Yeah, it was a GTSR, white paint. I was like,
in the ass now.
oh my god, no, because I literally just recently watched the YouTube video where they did the Nürburgring thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, that car, I fell in love with it. I'm like, it's a manual, it's a V10, and they only come in manual. So when you see a person driving this car, you know they love driving. Like you know they love driving. Like that's what I used to love.
Viper, like, there's like a weird kind of mutual respect for all the Viper owners.
Exactly.
Like, that guy's a badass. Like he
like honestly, with the whole millennial thing going on and the whatever they call them, the generation whatever.
Snowflakes.
I'm not gonna make fun of anyone, but like,
I don't know, man.
well, like honestly, like the 3-pedal thing is literally like an anti-theft device to these guys.
Yeah.
Like it's like I want to steal.
like,
I don't know what the fuck to do. They're gonna stall it 20 times, and it's gonna be ridiculous.
If the pedals don't get you, it's the fact that you can't see anything.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
The blind spots are terrible. The AC sucks. When you're actually sitting down.
Oh, the AC is crap.
Yeah.
And it gets hot all the time in this car.
The engine's moved so far back that the pedals actually moved over to the left. So you're sitting like this.
Yeah.
And then because the A-pillar is so far in, the steering wheel is actually off center of the steering wheel too, or the seat too. So you're kind of sitting at a weird angle.
Even the passenger side, it's the same as the driver's side. You're gonna sit in like you need the transmission. You sit pointed towards like the outside.
Yeah.
Like,
you sit like pointed that. It's like a little V.
It's a V exactly to fit the transmission. Because the trans is probably right there, right? It's right here.
Straight up to the engine. So pretty much
like
right here is
it's where it starts, and it probably goes like under. Yeah, there it is. Like that's
right
where
there,
it goes.
right to the shifter.
No, I love Vipers in general. Like I remember back in the Middle East, like my friends would always make fun of me, like but that was before they even had the ACR. That was when
big over there now, man.
I know, but the thing is, like,
big Middle Eastern following, like.
I know, but my friends, it's because of this car and the new Vipers. But back in the day, I'm talking about like 10 years ago. I still was a fan of like the Shelbys and the stuff that came out, and my friends would always make fun of me. They'd be like, and because they have Lambos and whatever and all that, the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they would be like, oh, Nabi, you always loved American cars, and they're trying to convince me that American cars are not as up to par, and then this thing shows up and I'm like, fuck you all.
Yeah, well, understandably so back then, because the old Vipers, I loved them. I had them on my bedroom.
Dude, I still love them, even though they're like horrible to drive and a mess.
Well, they were even more raw than this. Like
I know
they were brutal.
I know,
man.
especially in the wet. If you've been in one in the rain, like you have no traction.
Google Dodge Viper crash compilation.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing.
You'll see why. Like, I think there was one of the guy like flew off a cliff with the brakes locked.
Dude, I tried drifting the old ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, even when it comes back, you know how in these things when they come back, you're good.
Yeah.
In the older one, when it comes back, it just wants to throw its rear end. You're like, oh dear God.
Even my GTS was a little bit like that. The ACR, I don't know if, I guess it's suspension, tire, a little bit of
Dude,
everything.
this suspension looks high end. Like the quality, the materials, it looks insane. It's not just because they're Bilstein, but the way you can tell suspension components when you have cheap suspension, reasonably priced suspension, and high quality suspension parts. This thing looks top notch. Like it's
you
insane.
can see, like, even when we were over there, like kind of coming out of that drift and everything, it's very well balanced.
Yeah, it
like,
looks it. It looks it.
It has a 50-50 weight distribution.
I mean, I'm gonna give credit to the driver too. I'm not just. I mean, you still give this thing to an idiot, he's gonna put it in the wall. It's it's gonna kill him. So.
This is my 5th year with a Viper. I've had one since 2016.
Yeah.
Around this time, I think I actually came up with my time hop the other day. I got my first Viper 5 years ago, like 5 years and a week ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And,
that's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, you drive the same thing long enough, you get pretty used to it. But
yeah,
I wouldn't change it, man. I thought I'd be itching for another car after a year or two. Or
I'm so happy. I think I was the happiest person when you got this car.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. Like you made me happy because, like, even though I didn't get it, I'm still able to see it and spend time with it. So I really love this thing. I think.
You can find one, man. You should grab one.
I know, dude, but they went up in value. Like, I knew that thing was gonna be. If it was 177, we'll talk. Like, I'd be like, yes. And even then, I'd be like, still expensive. But dude, it went for 235. Like, and that's on Bring a Trailer where you're supposed to get a good deal.
Yeah.
Like, so. Do you know? Is this just for the bolt, or what the heck is this hole for? Like those two holes. What is this?
In order to get this on, I was working with this over at Eurofed. This is like a separate piece that bolts into the frame back there, comes out just so that you can bolt these onto it.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the purpose of the big hole here?
I literally have no idea.
Because like, is it aerodynamic or?
No, I don't even think it's that. I think it's they just welded some metal onto a piece of pipe, said bolted up to the frame so you can install your.
Fair enough. Maybe to like easy
splitter.
access.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's maybe they didn't want to have a solid piece there. Maybe weight savings. I have no idea.
I love how you can like see the carbon. Like from here, you can look and you can see the carbon fiber. Now this thing is really special. Next to this. To be fair, I looked at the gas mileage you get here. It's still better than my H1, bro. Yeah, it's way better.
I mean,
you're way better here, man.
Yeah, I mean,
like your highway is my, like your highway. Sorry, your city is more than my highway. Let's just say that.
Well, I don't know what it said for city, but
12.
No.
It says 12 for city and 19 for highway and 14 combined. You're probably gonna show me 8.7 or like something.
Well, it hasn't updated. I've been driving it for like 400 miles almost.
Yeah, actually this is really good consumer advice we're giving right now. It's not just a review of the car, so that's great.
The key's in it. What are you talking about? There we go. Okay, I'm at 9.5.
Okay, you're at 9.5. That's fair considering the way you drive. That's not bad.
I've been doing a lot of highway just to get miles on this thing to break it in.
Yeah, but you've been doing burnouts and clutch dumping.
I'm driving around the city. It's like 7.2 last time I checked.
Yeah, but it's uptown, so you're forgiven.
It's pretty terrible.
It is pretty terrible. It's horrible for the city.
It still sucks either way.